There you go.
You look so cute. Look at you.
All right.
Yeah, look at you, sunshine. Yeah.
I know. Get one of these.
Uh-huh. Squeak!
You are squeaky clean.
I shaved just for you today.
You're goddamn right you did.
I have my angel robe on.
Top of your head looks like one of my ass cheeks. There you go. All right. So, how's your day going? Today is Tuesday.
Are we recording now?
It's recording, but I don't have to. I don't have to air any of this. I mean,
Right.
you could choose to be. You could choose to be professional, or you could choose.
I don't hear recording. That's all.
You don't hear recording?
No, I don't. Wait, hold on a second.
What does recording sound like?
Shut the hell up, douchebag.
Nice. People are going to hear you say that.
Dude, you better edit that.
I will not, because that's just the kind of guy you
All
are.
right, hang it up right now. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, Fozzie, how are you?
Fantastic.
This has been a
Matt,
great talk so far.
all right, now, I'm going to turn the tables. It's questions for you.
Okay, first of all, your name is Chris Dillon.
Yeah, what about it?
And what makes Chris Dillon awesome?
I don't know. Everything?
Everything, okay.
No.
Is it like lack of a mustache? Or is it the potential to actually have an awesome mustache? You could have like this... You could have like a... Oh my God. That thing looks awesome. I love that. Okay.
Right.
Chris
Let's
Dillon,
get serious.
Man extraordinaire. Holistic health practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And here, Matt Wichlinski, dude with calluses. Bing! Okay, sweet. That's my credentials. I have calluses.
Yeah, but dude, when you're sumo lifting up close to 600 pounds, I expect you to have calluses.
Just one.
Dude,
Okay.
nuts. All right, so let me turn the tables up. Because when people watch your videos, you're always interviewing people. Let me interview you this time around, real quickly.
Excellent. Yeah, let's see what's on your mind.
What I've been noticing on your wall and stuff like that, you're posting different views of things. But I want to know, what right now do you feel is a big problem in this training industry? Not just about nutrition and things like that, but as a coach, what do you see? What is the biggest problem that you see coaches working with their clients? Like what really gets to you, and what do you think needs to be changed?
I think the thing that is helping us gain more knowledge is the same thing that's helping us, or not helping us, but is the same thing that's causing a lot of problems. The amount of information that's out there. And, with such ease of access to new information, people can very easily get new exercises, new progression, or, more complex exercises. And I think what that does is that it's a good thing. It can help you excel if you use it wisely. But if you don't use it wisely, it causes people to skip the necessary steps to build a solid foundation.
Right.
And then you you go to more complex drills, exercises, training styles before you've really prepared yourself. It's kind of the hasty approach. You learn something new on YouTube, like, oh my God, I want to go do that right away. And while it might be a great exercise for one person, it's a completely inappropriate thing for somebody else. I believe, in having a system and starting people through their training career or training program system. Use it like a system and build from the ground up. Kind of think of it like a school. Everyone goes to school and starts in first grade.
Right.
Generally speaking, you start in first grade. Everyone learns the same basic skills, and then your progressions will be based on your ability to perform those very basic skills. And step by step, you will increase the intensity, whether that's more load, more speed, more complex exercises. So a basic push-up could progress to, a weighted push-up, or change the leverage position if you're just in the body weight training. All that sort of stuff, but you have to display proficiency with, and mastery of one particular skill level before you move on. And it's the same thing with anyone that's practiced martial arts for a long time. You start at a white belt, when you've displayed mastery of those particular skills at a white belt level, then they'll advance you to the next one up. You don't skip steps. You don't just go straight to black belt because you took a weekend course in, BJJ. You know what I mean? So you have to go through the ranks, and that, to me, when you do that and you follow that system, you earn the respect of those around you, and you just learn what the hell you're doing. And there's another thing involved. As you're training, your nervous system can respond pretty quickly, and that's why people will say, did you really get stronger, or did you just get more adapted or acclimated to a particular movement? Your muscular system will adapt in a matter of, I don't know, what would you say, like 6 weeks or so? The amount of time is kind of arbitrary. Let's just call it like 4 to 6 weeks. Your muscles can gain new strength. But how long does it take your connective tissue to handle that new adaptation? And then on top of that, how long does it take your bones to get thicker, more denser, and handle that? So if you have somebody, for example, that progresses really fast, maybe they take steroids. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but still pretty relevant.
But it's very common.
Yeah, it's still pretty relevant. They get very strong very fast. That's one of the things that steroids do. There's hundreds of different kinds of roids. In many cases, they help you get really strong really fast, but it works for your muscles. It's not working. In most cases, it's not getting your connective tissue, your tendons, your ligaments, your cartilage. That's not getting stronger. Your bones aren't getting stronger. So your weak link is going to give, and that's when you have different tears, various injuries, because the muscle skyrockets, and you take a guy that 1 week they're benching 250, a couple weeks later they're trying to bench 400, and they wonder why their pec rips right off the bone. Because they didn't take the time to develop that, and it takes a process. If it would have taken 6 years to go from 250 to 400, then everything developed at a rate that the body can handle. But if it takes just a few weeks, that's when injuries happen. So speeding things up much faster than is natural, I guess that's kind of like the main topic of what I think is wrong. People that want to...
sorry for interrupting, but do you feel now, whose fault is that? Is it the media's fault? Is it the responsibility of the trainer who is not really educated, but they think they are? Or is it the person, who does it on their own? Again, misinformation. Who are we to, pinpoint it on? It's really hard, I think. For my opinion, it's just the misinformation that's being spewed out through, when I was growing up, you look at, Muscle and Fiction magazine and Iron Man, all these magazines, it's all the same stuff regurgitated, but for some reason it sells magazines because I think people just can condition, if I do this, I'll get bigger and stronger because of what they see in the magazines. But understanding the biomechanics of the human body, what you said about the nervous system, which is very, very important, and actually not become ego-driven. Again, where do we, I don't want to say focus the blame on, but who think it should be the responsible?
Well, I guess the leaders in the field, are the ones that are getting the most followers. So I would say I'm partly at fault for putting a lot of crazy ass videos out there for attention's sake, and I think a lot of people do the same thing. You want to attract attention to your blog, so it's like, hey, this hasn't been done before, let's do that. And change just for the sake of change or just for the sake of being different isn't necessarily good. You could, but at the same time, if there's never any experimentation or innovation, then how do we grow? So, like I said, the same things that are helping us grow are kind of the same things that are kind of pushing us backwards, because people always want to, reinvent the wheel, maybe. And instead of just staying the course and doing the tried and true things to maybe get stronger, work on your stability, your mobility, everyone has their own blocking point, the thing that's holding them back. For me, it could be mobility in my upper body. For somebody else, it could be lower body strength, or generally speaking, any one of those major attributes of physical fitness. And I think people need to focus more on the individuality of what they need, but the popularity of group training, while I think it's obviously it's better than nothing, but training a large group of people as one unit and kind of pigeonholing everybody and thinking this is exactly what you need, and this might not be the thing that you need. You might need something a little bit more
Well,
specialized
individualized,
for
yeah.
you.
I mean, no, it's great. It is a learning process. I mean, is it better than nothing? Sure, but
Is that
when
what
you
we're
see a
striving
guy
for?
squatting 400 pounds standing on a Swiss ball,
Who did that? Who does
it's
that? Who does that? I want to meet that guy and shake his wiener,
oh,
his
his name's
hand.
Paul Check, but we all. But yeah, no, great. I appreciate your input on that. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm starting to feel is that with especially now with Facebook and YouTube and all these great other social media sites that we could. I mean, that's how we met. We met through social media. I mean, I followed you on YouTube, and we became really good friends. And
And it was a
hope
beautiful encounter. It really was. There was like, I
it was
remember a
wrong.
unicorn.
It's a bromance, bro.
I remember a unicorn. I remember a trail of pixie crystals, and I
Uh,
followed it like Hansel and Gretel. And then when I finally got to the end of the rainbow, there you were.
why am I on this Skype conference? So,
Moving on. Okay.
but yeah, okay, so. Yeah, I mean that's what I pretty wanted to ask you because I noticed lately that you've been really with your philosophy and your approach. You really becoming more conscious of yourself and what other people are doing, and I think it's really good that you're putting that information out there to educate people because it's the whole. Again, I'm not judging like with CrossFit or group training, but a lot of people are training incorrectly, and those are the people that come to me for repair because they've done so much damage.
Yeah.
Um, and I see you because you've been doing this for over 20 years. I mean, you stick to the basics. You stick to the body. You're not doing bodybuilding exercise. You're doing to the basic deadlifts, the basic squat. You're doing basic push-ups. I mean, and just seeing your functionality is really important. I think it's understanding how the function of the body works. When you see a guy do a push-up with bad form, I mean, you're just seeing him being set up for dysfunction.
Exactly, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know how to set up progression the right way. If you establish a solid foundation, and then you can increase people's intensity step by step. But it's when you try and do too much, and I see all the time, clients or trainers bragging about their clients. They want to pump themselves up, and that's great because you want to make your clients and your athletes the star of the show, and that's what's going to help your business and all that. But you'll see video people just with the most atrocious form, their heads caving down, trying to do a push-up, and just completely like terrible form. And then they throw more weight on. They'll throw like chains on them, and they'll put like a plate on their back, and it's like you just see their shoulders in bed and their heads caving in, and this is what's going on. And you're like
Diamond Dave's studio,
Diamond Dave's weightlifting facility. So. I mean, here's the thing. If I can make these comments, through social media, Facebook, YouTube, I'm not really trying to make fun of people, but I'll use some things as an example to hopefully call things to light, and people can kind of see what's wrong here, how can we fix it. And if I can get to just one person and make one person better, then it's going to be a huge waste of my fucking time because that's not enough to make me a millionaire. I need to get lots of people.
Well, I mean, listen, you've been a big influence with my, with certain things in my life. I mean, just the Dirty 35 project has been such a big help for me. I mean, because as much as I've trained for all these years, but it was kind of like, again, I took what you designed, but I designed it for what works for me. And because again, you're a lot stronger than a lot of your average guys, which you can. Lift those heavy weights and go for a long period of time compared to someone who's only been maybe working out for 3-4 years. We're in good shape. We're not that level yet. So, you would modify it, which will give them results without burning their system out and, and also make their egos happy.
Yeah. Now, for people that don't know the Dirty 35 project, this is a little project I've been doing this year. I started a couple months ago on my birthday, essentially. I just turned 35. So for the 35th year of my life, I'm celebrating with this Dirty 35 project. And it's essentially, I'm training 3 to 5 days a week, 3 to 5 exercises a day, 3 to 5 reps per exercise, keeping things very simple, starting with a very simple movement patterns, very simple progressions, slowly adding weight and slowly adding complexity of movement to the project. And it started very simple, but not exactly really easy. The ease or the difficulty, or if it's easy or hard, it's going to be dependent on how hard you're willing to work. But the whole idea was to start very, very simple with a very balanced approach of pushing, pulling, squatting, hinging, very primary or primal movement patterns.
Exactly.
And what's simple for one guy might be difficult for another. So there's always a way to progress or regress. So trying to look more at the template and not the specific exercise, and that's where a lot of people might go wrong. If one guy's doing a full snatch, an Olympic style snatch, that might be completely inappropriate for somebody else. But you can still start somewhere and do a very isolated part of that movement, like a high
like for example, like the handstand push-up. I can't really do a handstand push-up, but I'll do push-up with my feet, one foot on a Swiss ball.
Exactly.
It's just challenging,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Right. And the way you designed it, I really like, because you started with the hardest exercise, which is hardest on your nervous system, and you digress where you're just doing basic body weight, where it's not hard on your nervous system. I see a lot of guys, they train to go into the gym. First thing they do, half an hour cardio, so they're already draining their muscle storage of glucose, so they're already fatigued. Then they start doing a bunch of crunches to get their abs going. Now their system's shot. Now they hit the deadlifts, and they hurt their back because their system's shot.
Exactly. A quick point on that. It's this goes down to my philosophy and what I teach my athletes.
Right.
I look at it like anytime we're learning something new, it's you have a learning phase and then a training phase. While something new is introduced to you, you're obviously going to have to learn how to do it. So in that learning phase, we go from a very simple to complex approach. But once you learn how to do the most complex variation of that exercise, then the training phase is opposite. It goes from most complex to simplest in the training phase. So, for example, if you're learning how to do the snatch, you're going to learn the simplest motion first, and that's gradually going to evolve into a more complex movement. Once you learn how to do it, we'll start with the most complex movement while you're fresh, nervous system's ready to go, you're firing on all cylinders, and as we progress through, and from simple to complex, that could take weeks or possibly even months.
Unless you're Donnie Schenkel.
Unless you're a freak and you just pick something up like that right away. But for most people, that learning phase is a period of time, not just minutes, but it's measured in weeks or possibly months through a training phase. And then once you learn how to do it through the individual training session, we go from the most complex to the most simple. So, for example,
that's why I think it's important too, which I noticed that you put on the Dirty 35. One of the videos is about keeping a chart. It's about keeping notes about your progression. Write down what you're doing. Write down the plan. I think a lot of people go into the gym without, in their head they want to do this and this, but when you actually see it written down in the numbers and see where you were last time and calculate, it kind of gives you an idea of how much you can progress at what speed and what level. That's just from my experience.
Exactly. And looking at it written down, you can step back quite a bit, and you can see, take that more of a bird's eye view and see the bigger picture of what you're trying to accomplish. Don't look at all your workouts as like a WOD, as in like this individual workout, that has nothing to do with anything else. I like to look at it as a bigger entity, like a small entity, like that has something to do with something greater. So all the training that you did built up to this, and this is going to help develop the workouts that you're going to do in the future. So your history is going to be the biggest predictor of your future. So I use the training log, and I use a very simple template to track progress. And some people they're really into changing workouts as much as possible, and they think routine's the enemy. I don't really share that philosophy. I do change some things regularly, but the main lifts I keep. So if you look at my training template, it starts with I have a warm-up system that I do, and then I do my primary work, and then my secondary work, and then some conditioning and stretching. So the primary work stays very similar because I look at it as a skill. So we're trying to train that skill over and over. So to improve that skill, you're going to need some frequency. You're going to need some volume, and you're going to practice it a lot. And there's different philosophies that would say you need to train at max. Other people say 80% is the best. I train around 80% most of the time. The other 20% will be ramping up to like some super intensity. But I find the more often I train at 100%, the more I tweak things, and the more pain I experience. So I spend most of my training at about 80%, and that's where a lot of my body weight training comes in.
Right.
And but I do like pushing my limits and seeing where I'm at. I just can't do it all the time, and that's one of the issues that I see with a lot of a lot of group training is they look at almost every day like a contest or as like a testing session. You're going to race the clock. You're going to find out your max every single day, and that's spending too much time in competition mode and not enough time in learning or building mode. I want to spend about 80% of my time building and developing my strength. Just like for me, like I have a football background, you would play and compete once a week, but you would practice 6 days a week, 5 days a week. So it would be like a 5-to-1 schedule of practicing to competing. But then in the preseason, what about all those sessions that you practiced beforehand? You practiced 20, 30 sessions or more before you had your first competition. And that's what a lot of people do. Maybe they need to spend their first month, 2 months, 3 months building, practicing, playing before they really try and test anything. But a lot of times you'll have people in their first workout, their first WOD, and they're like testing everything right off the bat. We're going to see how many burpees you can do, how high is your box jump. Man, you don't have someone doing fucking box jumps when they haven't jumped at all. They're a 40-year-old getting off the couch, and you're like, wonder why their Achilles explodes. You know how strong the freaking Achilles is, and then you have people exploding it? Well, that shouldn't happen.
It's just as bad as The Biggest Loser,
Yeah, The Biggest Loser is a very funny thing. But I mean, again, just like I said, you got to do what you got to do to attract attention to your blog. You got to do what you got to do to attract attention to your TV show and make money. So kudos to Jillian Michaels and whatever the other dude's name is for Ben Harper. What's his name?
Was it Bill? No, Bill? No. I don't even know.
Whatever his name is.
I don't even watch it, so I don't care. It's not someone that I know posted a great blog about the other day. But he points to it, and it's really just in a healthy way. Like you said, it's taking someone who's been sitting on a couch, you put them in the gym, you start killing them. First thing, you're going to hurt them. Second of all, you're going to turn them off. And it's like, exercise is about creating energy, creating strength. And you do that by, like you always say, it's about design a program what that person's capable of doing. And you can't let the ego get in the way about pushing extra weight. I mean, sure, there's days you feel better than the other, but if I take a week off, my strength goes down 10%, maybe 15%. But it goes back up. But I'm not going to push myself because my ego says, I can bench press 250 when I can really do 225 just to satisfy my ego.
Right.
But there's some really great points that you made there. And I think that, if we really look at our approach on training and who we are training, because I know a lot of people are probably work trainers, and some of them are very successful trainers, and they know a lot of things. But I think maybe there's someone who's coming up in the field who wants to learn from you or whoever. Really understand it's just not about getting the person to work out and sweat and kill themselves. Like Paul Chek says, it's working that. Emotionally, physically, and so forth. You should not be pushing them. You should have them start us slowly and be able to see where they're at, because you are setting up for disaster. Exercise is about it's about creating that state of feeling of rejuvenating. And if you're not rejuvenated the next day, if you're tired the next day, in my opinion, you did too much.
Right. It's one of those things, I think when most trainers, most of them, I think, are pretty fit people. They've been exercising for a while. Occasionally we're going to see people that really don't train at all and they're trainers, but we're not talking about those guys. Most of them are really fit, and then you kind of forget about how deconditioned somebody might be after a couple months or a couple of years of not doing much. So you get them in and then you want to smoke them to death. Like you see what they're doing in The Biggest Loser. And you kind of lose sight of how effective just a couple sets of 5 push-ups are for somebody that is fairly deconditioned. And you can do much less than you think you can do. But for me, the key is, can you consistently do it day in and day out? Every training session, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever it is you want to do. You can even start with twice a week and slowly and gradually build up. It's like the tortoise and the hare kind of thing. And the guy that's going to stay with it for months and years on end is always going to have more success than the guy that just blasts off like the bullet out of the gun for 3 months. Usually it doesn't even last 3 months. It's like New Year, here we are right now, resolutions are rampant. I bet more than half the people, their resolution's already over. 2013 is going to be my year, and what's today's date? I don't even know.
Today's 8th or 9th?
8th or 9th. I'll take your word for it. I have no idea what it is.
It's the 8th.
It's the 8th. So, Yeah, I mean, by now it's been a week, man. They put in their solid couple days, and
Yeah.
let's see what happens if they're going to stay through it this week, next week. I hope they do, but the best thing for me to stay with it is start easy, easier than you think you should.
Mm-hmm.
Week after week, just add one more set, add a couple pounds, change one exercise a little bit. You don't have to change everything. To me, that's a good way to make sure everything is sore all the time. I like to practice some repetition with a little bit of variety. Some people like lots and lots of variety. I just don't think that you'll really ingrain your movement patterns if you practice too many things right off the bat. But that's just me. I mean, I know as a beginner, you're going to get results no matter what you're doing. I just think that you got to tone the intensity down a little bit, especially if you were an ex-athlete. You see these people that maybe they were great, high school or college athlete. They took some years off, and then they remember what they were doing then, and then they try and get back in the game. And shit, every week, every month you take off, you need that little bit less and less. So you take a couple years off and want to jump right back into it, you're going to really beat the hell out of yourself because your body feels fresh. And your first day, you're charged. You got yourself mentally ready. You made that decision. You committed yourself to going to the gym, starting the new program. That first day, you're all about it. You sweat, you're good. You go to bed, you feel good. You wake up, and you're like, bang! It's like you just got hit by a truck. Yeah, you did too much, and then you try and scale back, and then you're discouraged because you can't do as much the second day that you did the first day, and you're sore, and everything's creaking. And the first couple days, you might just want to do joint mobility exercises, and that's going to put a load in doing body weight squats. I mean, maybe it sounds like a pussy way to go about it, but you never know.
It is the way to go because you're right. I mean, the old familiar phrase, no pain, no gain. But what does that prove? I mean, it's you're punishing your body, and your body's not it doesn't deserve punishment. It deserves respect and treated well. And like you said, start out slowly. Yeah, I mean, the ego says, "Oh, I could do more," but you wake up the next day, like you said, when your mobility is limited, when you having trouble getting out of bed, and you're like, it hurts, but your ego tells you, man, it's you're going to get bigger, you're going to get stronger that way. That's just where we're conditioned. And I feel a lot of people forget the stretching. I think stretching is very, very important. And I don't see that anywhere. I don't see stretching programs. And
exactly. It's almost been demonized, to stretch. It's like, oh, what are you doing stretching before you train? You're dropping your power output 10, 20%, whatever. You're never going. You know what? If stretching helps you feel better mentally and physically, and it helps enable you to get into a better position. For me, these exercises, like whether it's gymnastic based or weightlifting, whatever. If your position isn't optimized, you're not going to perform very well. Then that means your back might be rounding the wrong way, or you're not set optimally. So you're going to fight through it, and that's when things get overly sore unnecessarily. And if you would just take the time to stretch, it'll help you get into a better position. You'll eliminate some soreness. You'll be able to perform better because you'll have that ability to be in a better position.
Yeah, stretching actually increases more energy in the body. People don't realize that or understand it, but I mean, if I spend 5-10 minutes of just stretching my body out correctly, stretching the tight muscles, because that's another thing. I see a lot of people stretching the same muscles over and over again. They're actually overstretching the muscles, which creates a muscle imbalance in the body. As I drive by this track all the time, and I see people running, and some of these people are stretching. They're doing the same. They're stretching the hamstrings or stretching the quads. One can be tight, one can be loose. They don't know, but again, just spending the right amount of time stretching, and that's all. It's amazing how much better you feel. Your body is literally you're taking that stress off your body.
Right.
Body can actually function, and you actually have more energy. And I think there's a lot of people who forget about that, or might feel fun about doing it in a room with other people, or you know what I mean.
I'll tell you, some of the stretches I do definitely look very funny. You're going to get looks. I use bands sometimes. I wrap around my thighs, and it's up there, and you're by your junk, and it's awkward looking, and you either take advantage of it or you don't. So I do a lot of it at home, and I program my stretching on my off days for recovery, and I'll do, I won't say yoga, but forms of that, like a fluid movement of body weight.
Your lymphatic system moving.
Exactly, and that really helps
to move. Because the problem about sitting in the office all day or in bed or behind the couch is that you become stagnant.
Yeah.
your lymphatic system is not pumping, so you're not able to detoxify your body of these toxins.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important if you can't work out, if you're just too tired to work out, but you feel the need to something, spend 10, 15 minutes of stretching. You'd be surprised how much you feel better.
Like you said, most people just go through it with a half-hearted effort. It's like, I'm going to bend over for 10 seconds, try and touch a toe, and while their back's rounded out, and they're just kind of overemphasizing the same things that they've been doing all day long, hunched over the steering wheel, the dinner plate, and the computer. So they kind of neglect the things that are really causing the problems with maybe it's extension or whatever it is. Everyone has a different issue, but it's not always easy to find out why you're different than somebody else. So that's one of the things that's difficult to do with group training. It's really hard. I guess it can be done, but starting slow and developing a system and teaching people why these things happen, so they can kind of, as they've been with you for a couple weeks, several months, they can learn more about what they need to do on their own. So when it's stretching time, you don't have to have the whole room doing the same drill. Everyone can kind of address their individual needs. So education is going to be the most important thing. As a trainer or coach, that's your job, to manage time, space, and people. And you can't change a whole lot about the time that you have. There's usually a block, 5 to 6 p.m. What can you do in that time? Your space, there's only so much you can do with the space that you have as far as like square footage, and also the equipment that you have is what I mean by space. There's only so much you have available there. But with people, when you're managing people, it's a completely different thing. Now it's psychological and not just physical. So starting from the beginning and teaching people your philosophy, why we're doing the things we're doing, it won't be very long before those clients that you have with you will help you in teaching every new person that comes in. While you're working with somebody, they could actually help somebody else with something very basic, very simple, that they might have learned their first day in, somebody else's first day, and they're like, oh yeah, this could help. So everybody that you have in there, I kind of look at as I'm teaching them to be a teacher as well. So it helps them be a better athlete and a better spotter, a better supporter, a better teammate.
I always believe our clients always teach us about ourselves, and even through our mistakes. And that's something I've learned. On an ending note here for me, my mistakes, I've learned through what my clients have taught me. It might hurt, be humbled, but it helped me grow as a person. So next client, I was more conscious of what I'm doing, and it's amazing how you can learn from just from that.
Well, like they say, it's probably wrong. The day you stop learning is the day you start dying, or something like that. I probably got those words mixed up, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. I nailed it, right? I nailed it. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, it was great talking to you.
All right.
Let's do this again soon, but we'll talk more about maybe nutrition and health and lifestyle, and let people know what we're going to be doing in the future.
Excellent, man. Good talking to you again, and we'll do it soon, bro.
All right, bro.
Enjoy your day. Thanks.
Too.